in the Middle East.
Yeah, that's super exciting. You know what? I will get started. All here. So with you, so I basically came into the scene. I guess you could say I started writing comics in like 2017, 2018, and you were one of the first people I remember on back in the day. You were kind of like I am now, where you were going on people's interviews and you were promoting your Freak Snow, which was being kickstarted at that time. And you were one of the few people that was like on the internet that I could tell I was like, this person's gonna rise quick because you were easily uh I guess you could say knowledgeable in both the business side of this space and the creative side of this space. And because you were like a owner or co-owner of a comic shop and you just had a lot of insight into a lot of things that nobody else was talking about, and you were already on the game of basically getting to know every other kind of creator and on all kind of the platforms, just basically introducing yourself and letting people know who you were and getting to know as many other people. And next thing I know, within like 3 years, you're all of a sudden optioning rights to MFKZ. You're and now all the way within like maybe 5-6 years, you're now the president of your own company that's one of the biggest top selling comic publishers out there, and you're growing faster than I can even fit, my mind can even boggle. I mean, and now you're publishing one of the greatest series of all time, Liquid Kill. That's probably your greatest accomplishment. But no, in all seriousness, I just want you to basically step by step just walk us through how did you get from what almost as if like your creative career is like your resume and each like new job, like how'd you become the owner in the comic shop, how did you find the artist for Freaks Know, how did you then start Massive, how did you start optioning rights to stuff up till now, and then I'll just let you talk and I'll only interject like whenever I want to have a new question. All
Well,
right.
first of all, that was a pretty fire introduction, dude. I'm like, wow, man, I feel like a WWE fighter ready to go on the ring now with this introduction. So thank you, dude. And yeah, Liquid Kill is the best comic book on the market. I would say that. And you see me tomorrow on the podcast of another creator and saying that their books is the
Yeah. Oh
best.
yeah. Yeah. I'll be listening. I'll be like, he's lying.
Is lying. No, 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 for real. If anyone listening, you have not bought a copy of Liquid Kill yet, what are you waiting for?
Yes, please
First
remind
thing
them.
that we
People
should.
will be like, yeah, I'll get it at some point. Yeah. No, they're all waiting for that trade, buddy. Everybody I talk to,
Yeah,
they're like, when the trade comes out, I'm getting it. When the trade comes out, I'm getting it. I'm like, I will let you know
we
when it
we
goes live.
we are building the hype right now. No, so yeah, for the well, that's it's a big question you did ask.
It's not really a question. It's just like, you just fill me in,
Yeah.
you know?
Um, So basically my start in comics was kind of weird and interesting because like a lot of people say that like movies doesn't really bring people to comics, which is kind of true. I would say that we can argue that it's totally true. But for me, it's actually the movies that bring me to comics to be a comic book creator and publisher. I saw the movie Watchmen in theater and I was just like, what the hell, like what's like really getting really passionate about this movie. I love this movie still today. I think it's a masterpiece from the director with the most intense fan base on art. So let's not get into
I'm
Schneider
right
stuff.
there with you, man. Yeah.
So yeah, I watched this movie. I do like a little quick Google search about it, like actor, IMDb, like the nerd shit, and I see well, it's a graphic novel, it's a comic book, and to me at that time I was like maybe like 12, I believe. So I'm from like a small French Canadian town. American comic book are not really around, just like well we got translation like in French art covers, this stuff like that. But to me, like my last contact with comic books was actually like, I was like 6'8" or whatever, buying like hardcover French Spider-Man. And to me that was comic book, was like a kid medium that nothing really like um for major content, that like I would enjoy as like a 12, 15, 16 or whatever. I was reading mangas, but not comics. So I go to comic book shop. My local one was one in French little Canadian town. So one comic book shop. I go there. I ask for Watchmen. Obviously, it's Watchmen, so they got one. I take it. I freaking love it. I read it, and I go back, and after I said like, hey, what do you have from Alan Moore? I just take V from Data, and I read V. I love it again, and I really started like getting into comics and just understanding that like, no, it's not just like Spider-Man punching bad guys. There is like a lot of content in comic book can tell a story, an idea, or a metaphor, philosophy. So after that I really get into it, and I'm like always been like business savvy. Like I was 12, 14. Like I had like a bunch of YouTube channel and trying to craft and understand like the YouTube, all
Oh,
the
you're one
internet
of those
stuff.
guys. You were like immediately on it back
Yeah,
in that day
those
when you
guys, those guys. um so yes, I just decided like to, I'm like, hey, dude, I have like, I don't know, like I probably had like $2,000, like a 14, 16 years old guy that's what you maybe have like a succeed to save by flipping pizzas and cooking French fries,
yeah.
at a restaurant. So I just did the comic book shop guys like, hey, I can work for free. I put 2K on your business, and I joined. I will be a partner. And he say yes, we are still friend. Actually like Didier, which is artist name is Tony Ken. So he make covers for us right now, so it's kind of cool. It's full circle. He was my partner on the comic book shop, and that's all I really started to understand all comic book works, because like I was saying, I was doing like the diamond orders. I was understanding like what the market was really looking for because of the interaction with the customers, the one-on-one, and some like in seeing the different type of customers. You have obviously like the old school old timer guy that like don't try to sell him liquid kill. It's not, this is not the your target customer. But there is like the cool hipster guy that is looking for the new edgy thing, and that guy, you give him a liquid kill. Um,
So
so
you
that
learned sales right away. Hold on, let me back up. So you were like 16 at this time when
yeah, I
you
was
were
16 when I got a
16,
comic book
and
shop. I
you
was
and you just
16.
like took like all your like $2,000 in savings and said, I want to
Yeah,
be a
yeah, and I got like
co-owner, or like
five,
bought
ten
a
percent.
share or
I don't
something.
remember. Yeah, I got
Uh,
like 5 or 10% or something like
Well,
that in
that's
the
awesome.
shop,
Okay, now so
and I
you were
was
like
trading my
little, just be
time. I
like, I
was
want to
working
be
for free
okay, 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 gotcha. Yeah, okay, cool. All right.
at first, but yeah. So that's all I did to learn the thing, and I was really curious about like the business of publishing, and really because like my mind at that age, I really wanted to make movies and still, but my path did change a little bit. But I wanted to make movies, and my mind was like, fuck, there is no way that I get into like the movie industry. For me was like so far to just like jump into this thing. I did not know all I could do it. And I was like at that time just like, well, comic books seem to be like a good ways to actually get into that world without being like I'm American or like in LA or like the son of someone or having like connection or whatever. So I just like decided like, okay, cool, I will understand how comic book works, and like in on like this journey at some point comic book gonna lead me into filmmaking. That was the top process behind all the operation of like getting a shop, understanding the market, making a publishing company to get to movies. That was the way that like 16 years old Kim and Roditeli was thinking at that time,
Hey,
which
that's
was a
ahead of the
really
game.
long
I
shot.
I didn't think like that until I was like almost 30.
Yeah, yeah, that was the reasoning behind that. And like 16, no, but maybe 17. Like I did at least like a year in the shop. I decided to do my first comic book company. Well, company, because it was like really just like a 17 years old project at that point. But I was really like getting deep into like crowdfunding. I was finding like that thing super interesting, and I was like, oh, let's try it. And I started like my first publishing company with like crowdfunding project and stuff like that. And that's all I understood, pretty much all the mistake you can do as a publisher through that first tentative at having like a publishing venture. like printing on spec with 10,000 copies of a book, but you don't have like distribution, but you're like, oh yeah. You don't realize all like a 5,000 or 10,000 copies is a lot before you start selling
Wait,
comics,
so you like bought and printed 10,000 and didn't have them sold yet?
No, I was just like, I
Just
gotta
like
figure it out.
sitting at your
That's all.
house,
No, I was just
10,000.
like, the printing cost is cheaper because like you're making your printing things, and you're looking at the quotes, and it's like, oh yeah, so 1,000 copies, I pay like $4 a copy, but if I go at five, I pay like $1. So now you're like, well, like there is like maybe $600 difference, between like the 1,000 copies and the 5,000 copies. So you just go like, let's do five, and after you just like realize that your house is full of boxes that you can literally like live in cardboards in
Yeah, I
for
can't
forever
imagine.
if you
Like
want.
that's a lot. Like just getting like 500 books
uh
is like eight boxes. Oh well, of like graphic novels, but like and then like
yeah.
it has to be a ton. I can't imagine. But that's actually still like the opposite of what I see people doing now. Is nowadays people are like, well, I got 40 backers. I'm gonna print 50 copies. Where it's like just print 100. And
Yeah.
but 10,000 just slightly
Oh, dude,
egregious.
no, it was even more than that because like I remember like my parent place was fucking crazy, and I'm sorry. I apologize to my parent. I'm pretty sure it got like 30,000 books like just in the
How many
basement.
were you able to move? Were you able to sell them over time? Like eventually, I'm sure you were able to.
Yeah, well, not everything. Like I'm sure there was still like a couple of bucks from those books, somewhere in my parent place.
But these were books you did before Freaks Know. Freaks Know is the first thing I remember you doing.
Yeah, it was before that. That was like my first thing. The company was named Rats and Crows Publishing. It was not really a company, but just like me
Oh,
trying to understand all comics works. So
yeah,
I was just
yeah.
like making a shit ton of mistake just to understand the business, basically. Well, not on purpose, but I think it's really important to make mistake, to be sure that you don't make them in the future. So I
Yeah.
was really glad that I made this thing first, and kind of understanding like the what to do and what not to do, and all that business works. So no, I did like Rest and Cross Publishing for like a year ish. And after we sold to a guy in Israel that did nothing with the company, but like sold like for $5,000, like that thing
How'd
worth
you
nothing.
how'd you make that sale? Did he find you or did you like actively try to
Yeah,
sell it?
actually, it was a creator that did a book with us. Like we did a Kickstarter for his book, and it was like, hey, I want to buy your company. I'm like, yeah, fine. I'm worth nothing. You
Yeah,
can have fun with
nice.
it. I'm just running a Kickstarter for you, dog.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not a real publisher at that point. Um, but yeah, and after I took like a year break, because I was like, well, I want to create. I don't want to, just work on others' books, which is kind of ironic because I always come back to publishing. So I did start did stuff for like a year publishing, and then I created Freaks Know, and I made my first personal crowdfunding for that book. And then I started like working with BMA, launching my imprint Happy Tank, and then BMA sold, became Sumerian, and I launched Massive Publishing, Whatnot Publishing at that time.
Well, you just
So
skipped over a whole bunch of there. So you started your more
yeah, yeah,
officially
just I
your
was like,
happy
it's too
you were just like
it's too
"Bup, bup, bup,
long.
bup." I did this and then that. Oh, so you had Happy Tank was your imprint that
Yeah.
you did, and that's what you did with Freak Snow with. So what all did Happy Tank own at that time before you like sold it to Sumerian or became a part of? Walk me through the Sumerian stuff and the Freak. What was the steps between kickstarting Freak Snow and Sumerian? What happened
Yeah.
there?
So yeah, so I did a Kickstarter, and at some point after a Kickstarter, I think now it's part of the business. You start shopping around for like a publisher for the retail release. So I just like send my book, and like in 2 minutes they're just like, "That's rad, we want to do it." I'm like, "Cool, but if you want it, I want to launch my own imprint. That's fine.
You just
That's
like
what
strong armed him, like, oh yeah, you want it? Okay. take my whole company with
No,
me.
but I mean, like I did present a plan. It was not
No,
just
I'm
like,
sure. Yeah,
hey,
I know it wasn't just like
to
on
my
the
imprint.
whim.
I was like, well, I know those guys in France, for example, MFKZ, which is like one of the biggest like French comics.
Yeah, so
They
how
just
did you
really
get that? That's a big story there. Like how that's a huge thing. It's even a Netflix show.
so so the thing with and it's something I say probably every time I get on a show like that. It's the people I like most of the people don't get that like getting a thing it's not like there is no cracking the code or or just like taking the right pill in the matrix and understanding how this thing works. No, it's just reaching out and talking to people. Like it's just all business works. Like you want something, just like send a DM, send a messenger message and just say like, hey dude, I love your work, blah blah blah, let's and pitch your thing.
That's exactly
And
what I preach in my thing is basically I've reached out to some of the biggest names in the world and I've gotten almost an equal response from some of the biggest people in the world that I have
yeah,
from people you've never heard of just by
and
finding their emails and stuff like that.
and you know what? It's like the worst thing that can happen. It's someone. Well, if they don't answer, they don't answer. You know, you move on. But the worst thing that can fucking happen is actually that guy, that one of those guys will reply to you. You're gonna be a dick, but it's also a good thing because now you know that he is a dick and you don't want to work with that guy because he is a dick. So no, but the secret of business is super like of doing good business, doing moves, actually talking to people and telling them what you want. A lot of people are just like fantasy, like I don't know, you're really into like um well, Blade Runner is there. I got a Blade Runner book just there. You're really into Blade Runner. Your dream is making a Blade Runner product. Well, instead of like always talking about Blade Runner and you want to do something with Blade Runner, but you don't know how it works, well, you take your Blu-ray, you look at the fucking companies, you know, listed on this thing, and reach out and pitch your thing. And in worst case, you know, what gotta happen, they won't answer or they will tell you like, hey, the license is with this company, or just like it's not available right now. And if they tell you like, hey, the license with this company, well, if you're a writer creator, like pitch, you know, like reach out for a pitch and just like tell them your story. Just say like, I'm a huge fan of Blade Runner. I've been like watching the movies like 5 times a day, and I'm your guy. And just like try, you know. I think that's the problem. Like a lot of creative people will face is the lack of trying and a lot is probably due to you know, being introvert. And I get, you know, I get being introvert, but I think there is like no excuse in a way now because of the internet. You know, you can do everything by email and text. You know, you don't need to get on the phone necessarily to close a deal. Now you could literally like get a gig by just sending messages without having like to meet the person in person, or talking on the phone. You can get the gig just by dropping a messenger message to someone and you're just like, yeah, cool, let's do it, you know. So now I think that there is like an infinity of opportunities for anyone, like introvert, extrovert, or whatever you are, just because of the power of the tool that we have. And that's your phone, you know, that you can do whatever you want, because there is no longer really like a border to expression in business. Literally, like we are right now talking, I'm in fucking Quebec and you are in I don't know which states of the US, but like 20 years ago or even like 15 years ago, that would have not, you know, will be impossible to do that. Now we are I think that's part of the issue is not, and I'm younger. I mean, that's totally, you know, in my case, it's just like I was born with this thing, so it's easier for me to say that. But I think like a lot of like older people that might not have like the reflex of like just being like knowing the tools or thinking about the tools. It's just like you're still stick with like the old tools of like I can't do that, or this thing doesn't exist, or whatever. You don't think about it, but like just a text message, that's 90% and 95% of like all business start and all business ends. You don't need to send letters, you know.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, it's a totally different world. Everyone is their own individual business, especially in this creative space, and we all have all the power on our cell phones and computers to do anything we want. And it's like the barrier to entry is so easy that it makes the competition fierce. But like you said, we're so early in this game, it seems like, or we're still at the beginning of really like the internet's still a fairly new thing that
Yeah,
everybody is still in the old mindset. It's all boomers that still run industries, so people still think in the mindset of, oh, I've got to do this, I got to like all these steps that
there's
aren't
no
really there.
rules.
Like you said, it all just starts just reaching out to somebody, and we can get in contact with almost everyone, even people that used to be behind the gates of agents or whatever. You can reach out to them directly, and it's not a big deal as long as you're not pressuring or being weird or like I don't know. Yeah, from my perspective, I guess what I wasn't sure with the MFKC thing is like, because like you like it sounds like you reached out to them and just and then it went from there. But sometimes things happen to where it's like I was working on a project and I knew the guy that was a part of this thing, and then and he happened to blow up at the same time that I was doing this, and then it worked out. I wasn't sure because they're a Canadian show, and I wasn't sure if it was like someone you had already worked with in a different industry
No,
or not.
actually, they're in France. It's actually a really like famous like French comics at first, and then they made the movie that was on Netflix for a while. Uh, but yeah, just like it's still owned by the comic book creator, so it was just like reaching out to the creator, and after we just like made the deal. So it's nothing was complicated on that one, but yeah, that was my first book as a publisher that really had like a giant, a giant success for comics. Like for the number one, the first issue was 40,000 units that we did move on the first print, which is for an independent comics,
Yeah, I remember that. It
as
was
you
I
know.
don't know. That's what I wanted to get at is like at the time that you were with Behemoth, which is now Sumerian, nobody was selling that high of numbers, and that's what really brought like you to my attention. And I don't think anyone's really given you the credit you deserve at how like with that one, and then kind of the other series you were involved in, you were selling so much more than everybody else in the independent space. And I
Yeah,
wanted to get sort of like your insight is like, what what do you think you were doing to really like to really draw in those? Like, obviously, you've helped it in personally in my world and stuff like that, and eventually we'll get to how you've come to acquire my properties. But so yeah, walk me through just your world at Behemoth and how you were how are you selling so many comics with them?
um yeah, that's I think well there is obviously like timing factors. I think the pandemic was the perfect moment for any publishers to try thing, and obviously because like, well, people were at home, uh people were getting free money, from the government at that time. So I think that was just like a lot was timing, and not saying that I don't have talent and like trying to be humble and put all that on
No,
the
yeah, it
Trump
definitely was a
money,
boom moment at that time. That was whenever
for
I had
sure. No,
success and things like that.
100%. And I think what did happen is fans and collectors and speculators were actually looking just for new voices and new stuff, and they did try my product, and I think that and I believe I still get like some fans of what we were doing at that time with Abby Tank. That did transfer actually to Massive Whatnot Publishing, to an extent, just because like they love I get a speculation of like my taste in publishing. But the thing there was actually at that time, not only like people were at home, more time to read comics, but it's mostly that the number one reason I believe is that a lot of people has discovered actually that comics was a currency in the pandemic, and playing with money. You get free money from the government. And now it's like let's play, it's like if you go to the casino and you have like $50. If you're smart, or just like more of a all or nothing type of gambler, you will go to the roulette. And I think the comics did turn into like a fun roulette for a lot of people, because like the YouTube show that was all about speculation were blowing up at that time. and it was kind of a community thing. You know, you're alone at home, no contact, and now you make money while talking about geek stuff. You know, it was just like, oh, this number one of this series were $25. And as you know, and as we all know, speculation in comics is basically the market itself making the price of something. You know, so it's like the community deciding that the price is that. Same for crypto, you know, to an extent, or whatever
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
part of a market. But the comics did really turn into like a giant currency at that time with a high value, just because like a lot of people were playing the game. So multiple like indie publishers that benefited from that, because like each series, if we compare to crypto, let's say that each series was its own currency in the comic market. So like MFKZ was like Bitcoin, and the other one was Dogecoin, the other one was blah blah blah, and that was a way to actually flip dollars and just have fun. So it was, I think, in comics at that time more than ever. Well, maybe not the 90s, but in the recent years, did turn into a game of like flipping, you know, for a lot of people, and just having fun with the eBays and the whatnots, you know. And I think that's what did happen. But obviously, I don't say we don't have merits of what we did as like publishers, all the team together. We did something like that. I'm super proud. I think we just like selected the right titles, the timing was right, the release schedule was uh well aligned. And I don't know, I don't have like a clear answer beside that. I do believe like a lot of things are always about timing. And I think that was probably the timing there that actually really helped us. But
I
at the
mean,
same
yeah,
time,
to give you some
there.
credit, I was in the space at that time and selling books at that time, and all of us were benefiting from that kind of boom, but you were sort of selling still levels of like magnitude higher than even those of us that were selling. I mean, like it was rare even at that time for books to sell more than to launch over 20,000, and you continue to
Mm,
do that to this day. So I guess
yeah,
like let's jump to uh you starting Massive and how that came about, and then like I guess we can sort of um then get to where we are in the present day and where you guys
I
are
love
going
it.
from here and how I'm involved.
Yeah, totally, dude. So yeah, actually, starting Massive, kind of well, so you know, BMX sold to Sumerian. I was like looking for my next move and what I wanted to do next. And I met Michael that way. He was going to start an imprint, or talking with Sumerian, like to see to be at that time to do something, and then they sold, blah blah blah. And just like we really met, we met before, but like really businessly met, me and Mike at that time, and we were just like really aligned on our vision of publishing, the type of book that we wanted to release. And we just started talking, and I was like, hey, yeah, I'm talking also with Whatnot at that time, and I was like, we were thinking to release book and stuff like that. And you know, so Jack DeMaio from Whatnot, we start talking with him, and we pitch him the idea of like, hey, what if we do this Whatnot publishing, you know, in collaboration with Massive. So we launched that, and it was like a really everything was so organic and just like really aligned, and Whatnot, like really supporting the launch and what we were doing, the vision that we were going for. And it was just like a really cool collaboration between all those brands, and we just like started. That was crazy. Like a lot of people, I guess when you see that plan, you will believe like, oh, there was months of preparation, or just like a crazy like build up to build, you know, behind the scene. But it was just like everything was so aligned. And obviously, since like Michael was publisher with SBI Press, oh, the cat, and I was a publisher with Happy Tank, we had some, you know, titles and talk, or like kind of a catalog pretty much ready to go to launch something else, which Liquid Kill was part of it. I'm trying to do a transition right now. So yeah, so that, and that's kind of all that we did, fuse all those ideas, the ideas of Jack at Whatnot that had like Ninja Funk ready to go, my stuff, Michael's stuff, into like one thing, and did become like Whatnot Polishing Massive.
Okay. yeah, I guess like where so yeah, you actually reached out to us about Liquid Kill before any of that had came about. So
Yeah.
I was just one of those creators that I guess you were saying like earlier, you just reach out to people and ask what you got going on and see like if you could publish it. And at that time, I remember, dang, just to let people know how long it takes to make, produce, and publish comics. This was back in I had like It Eats What Feeds It had just released at that time in like 2020, and you had then I think just like Crow co-writer, he had posted artwork or something like that on Twitter, and you latched onto it and were like, what is that? And at the
Yeah.
time he reached out to me and he was like, have you heard of this guy Kevin Roditeli? And I was like, yeah. I was like, why? And he was like, yeah, he's interested in this. And I was like, well, don't ignore him. I was like, you should probably respond back, like, because at the time, like, it wasn't very far along, we still had a lot more to go. And I was like, yeah, he's not nobody. And then that's
Thank you.
whenever that kind of jumped off. But that was well before any of this, the massive stuff. But it's just I guess good for people to know out there that's like, even if you're a creator in comics, uh reaching out to people, not just for collaboration, but just being like, what is, what you just, I think that's all it is you just reached out, DM'd and said, what is it that you're doing there?
Yeah.
And,
Um,
and then that led to, yeah, all this stuff down the line. And we didn't just, shun you away, be like, no, I'm trying to go after Marvel. So get out of my way.
yeah. No, dude, yeah, no, it was literally like it's funny and it's kind of a boring answer, like each time I say that, but like most of our book, it's just like me seeing something on social media or in the news, like the bleeding cools of this world, and just reaching out and just be like, hey dude, do you have a publisher? What is this thing? It looks rad as fuck. And that's pretty much
What's
all
yeah,
any.
that's what I was gonna bring. I remember thinking I was gonna do exactly what you did when I saw The Exiled being kickstarted. I was like, why is Wesley Snipes doing it? Like who is
Yeah.
publishing this? And I was like, and you had already like gone, you already like a step ahead of me,
Dude, I'm a
and you
sniper.
got it, dude. Like that's the other thing is like I don't think people really realize like you that what you do is a talent. Like you just have you're like in this space, like how you watch YouTubers who just like, especially like in crypto or stocks and things like that, where there's people where all they're doing is they're just looking at the market. They're just
Yeah.
online and they're having a fun life because but for 4 hours a day they're like totally focused on what's valuable and is it low, who's doing this, who owns that, like who's merging with what. And you do that with film and comics, like, and you can see like this guy has talent and no, like, and you can just spot talent and acquire it and talk to it, like, and then bring it all together to make it into a thing, like a true director, producer, whatever it is that you call yourself. Like you got the skills to do that, and not everyone does. Like, and no, most people I don't even think see it that way. No one like wants to spend the time doing what it is you're doing. And if people do, they don't realize that it's something that they can do, that there's no like you don't need to go to school to learn how to find quality talent and then try to work with it.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, thank
ironically,
you, dude.
you're closer to the film industry than you ever would have been. I feel like just going through the normal route, like I
Oh,
started, of just trying to write movies and find an agent and things like that. Now you're closer to being the movers and shakers than you are the gatekeeper now, Kevin, whether you like it
yeah.
or not.
No, no, for sure, for sure. Well, thank you for all this. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love it, dude. I should come on your show every week. Like, it's a really cool like
I don't
therapy
know
session,
that
actually.
I really have a lot of admiration and respect for
No,
you as a person. It might not seem like that on our emails back and forth, but that is how I truly feel. It's just
thank you.
like
No, no, it's
big
appreciated, dude.
because I've been just not just like watching you, but I do the same thing, but it's just interesting to see how it all comes together and kind of the realizations that you had very young. I didn't have until I was much older. Whenever I was 19, like I was still in the mindset that I go to school, I go to film school, I graduate, I make one movie, I then, hope that that movie gets into a film festival, and kind of the 90s thought pattern of how you got into
Yeah,
film was you went to school, you made a movie, you kind of found your niche of whether you, even if it was a lighting guy or whatever, and you start as a production assistant, you work your way up and
yeah,
that kind of thing. And whenever that sort of fell apart, or not really fell apart, but just you start to realize what the world actually is, and that's an old mindset, and the world's changing so fast. And then I started to realize the things that you were realizing, which I preach now to my following, I guess you could say, at least on the YouTube side of things, is that you are your own as a comic creator. uh you sort of are your own business, and you are a part of a big industry, whether you realize it or not. And I think a lot of indie creators sort of see themselves as this one little thing. I am an artist in this little community, and I need and they don't really see it as, no, you are a piece in a cog. You're equal to virtually the biggest names in the industry. The only reason you aren't is because you put that barrier yourself. Because, like you said, you can collaborate with people as long as you have the talent and credibility and go through the right motions. It's just an email or a message
yeah.
away. But what you have is you have to have the business plan and the skills behind it to actually move forward. You can't just say, "Hey, I want the rights to Alien," and then have no idea what you're
Yeah,
going to
won't
do
work.
with it. You know?
There is one thing that comic book creators tend to forget when they want to move in that path, of trying to make their own thing and becoming their own business, is that comic book creators, we all have a power that people outside of the comic book business doesn't have. Is kind of the reverse engineering of what we were talking about movies. It's like you reach out to a movie company, you reach out to I don't know, a showrunner, a filmmaker that you like, and you're an actor, and you want to try to make a comic book project with them. The tool that you got is that they're like, I don't know where to start to make a comic. I don't know how comic works.
Yeah.
And that's your power, because that's what your way of thinking of movies, of like, I don't know where to start, I don't know how to make a movie. Well, it's the same thing for those people that did craft this thing, did craft movies for like 15 years, but you made comics in the past, you know how to make comics, and that's your number one like sell, of all we could work together is like, hey, I know how to make comics. If you want to make a comics, I'm here. I could be your best partners because I know how to do it. I made the mistakes already. I know how to produce. I know how to put it on the market. And that's the argument that most people won't bring in the conversation, because they don't think that it is an argument. But that's actually the strongest freaking argument that you can bring to a conversation when you talk to partners. Just like, well, I know how to make comics. If you want to make a comic, you don't
Yeah,
need to
it's
say more than that.
That's 100% true. And it's so funny that, yeah, I was guilty of not realizing that that was sort of a skill set until I started. True, exactly like the people on the other end. I'm about to have a pretty well-known film producer on my show in a few
Awesome,
weeks,
congrats, dude.
and a pretty well-known actor as well. And these are people that reached out to me that because they were like, I want to know how to make comic books. And
Yeah,
though it might seem obvious, like, well, you just draw a comic book. It's like, but you realize, oh no, it's just like, yeah, it's filmmaking isn't just you point the camera at somebody. Like there's a lot of facets that us
oh,
comic creators know, that is, we are behind the wall that other people don't know. And so that you do have a skill set in that. You're not just one thing, an artist or a writer. You know the ins and outs of an industry, or if you don't, you can learn by watching channels like this. Because if you're a colorist and you don't know what it's like on the sales end. And that's why I bring people like you on, because you see things at an even higher level, because you're seeing multiple comics and how they're doing, and you're comparing those to other publishers, and you're trying to figure out how to, have your competitive advantage of you as a publisher and acquire things that are with your brand, and all these facets that are not they take just time to build. To learn these skills, you just have to go through them. You have to be like you did. You have to just jump in, buy 10,000 comics and try to sell them,
Lose a shit ton of money and cry.
yeah, you
And
have to
the
fail
cool thing,
hard.
when you cry, with comic books, is it's really freaking easy to just like get rid of your water, and your tears, with the paper of
You
the
lose
comics. You
weight.
just like,
Is that what you're
yeah, you
saying?
don't need Kleenex. It's super easy. You have 10,000 comics. That's a lot of Kleenex. That you can use for your tears. Um,
Goodness. Well,
but
let's what where so yeah, so where are you at today and where is Massive going forward? I just want to bring up that for those who do not know what Massive Publishing is, there's how many series are you basically started, it was Whatnot Publishing / Massive Publishing that
yeah.
started basically June of last year. So you guys are a year strong, and it launched with 4 comics. That was Quested, Ninja Funk, The Exiled, and why am I blanking on the other one that you launched with?
It's your.
It was mine. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and then Liquid Kill, and there were other ones out there. There was Griffin, and now you have John
Astroboy was
Gordon
right
Murphy
after, yeah.
on, and Blake Northcott is now the editor in chief, and she has her comic
Yeah,
Grimoire.
North
Or
Valley
why am I?
Grimoire.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then there's quite a few other titles, but what do you have aside from? So Zorro was just successful on Kickstarter. What made you, I guess, go with starting with Kickstarter for Sean Gordon Murphy's thing, was as opposed to just going directly to the direct market? And why wouldn't you do that with all the books? Was it just you knew like you would probably have a better chance of getting a
So,
bigger launch that way with him as opposed to other things?
um, yeah, that's an obvious answer.
It's a
But
loaded
no,
question, I know.
no, but no, it's a really good question, actually. The thing is, with to me, Kickstarter is not, it's not for raising money. It's not for funding, technically, to me, it's a tool that I find really interesting on a marketing level. Of all, and it's actually good for everyone, good for the fan, good for the creators, good for retailers as well, to an extent. And the reason why, and that's all we wanted to build a campaign. What we did with the Sean Murphy Zorro, if you go to the campaign, every time we were unlocking a stretch goal, we were unlocking something for the stores. That was like, we wanted to do something special that never been done by any other publishers with using Kickstarter. And for us, for me, for all the team, it's really important to like always respect retailers and always be there for retailers, because like without retailers, I would not be shit right now. Like they they had my back.
Yeah.
They bought my book since day one, so I will always be um uh, a, 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 a retailer advocate. So in the campaign, something really special we did, it's every stretch goal that we're unlock, we were unlocking something at diamond level. So at $100,000, we were adding an exclusive book that you can only order through your LCS, for example. So but the reason why we did go with Zorro is with all those idea of like kind of a hybrid models of mixing like the retail and Kickstarter to become like a one big party in some way. I think there was like no better way for us, or like more strategic way. I was really waiting for like the perfect book to be sure that there is like a significant impact. And obviously the first one of the company wanted to make like a big splash, with it, like just like, oh fuck yeah, like the first campaign that we did is a $300,000.
Yeah, that was a smart
um
move. I mean, well done.
it's well, it's good for, like talking business, and just like because it's so obvious. It's not like I'm just revealing secret, of like Massive. I'm just like, if you have like you launch on Kickstarter, you have, a $300,000 campaign. Well, it's way easier to actually after that convince other big partners to do a Kickstarter with you as a company, just like, hey, look what we did, 300K. It's not like if we had like five, 30,000, $20,000 campaign before. It's way harder to just to go to our licensor and say like, hey, we could do a Kickstarter with your thing, look at our campaign, they're all making 20, 30K. Now we go to our licensor, is like, well, you're gonna get, look at what we did. Now it's most likely like a no-brainer for the licensor to just like say yes to a Kickstarter because we have that on the book. You just like, it's public, you can look at it, there is 300K on that one. Do you want, do you want to let us do a Kickstarter for your project? And that's what I want to do with the Kickstarters with Massive. Just like always make them feel like it's an event in the community of comics, and including everyone, like the fan, creators, and retailers, with our hybrid models of like the book release. The book was in solicitation at Diamond at the same time than the Kickstarter. So it's in and we were driving backers to the retail because all retail product are exclusive to retail. And so it was like a really different experience in completing the other one. So if you want to complete the full set of Zorro, you had no choice to go to your LCS. And if like you don't want to pay the high-end product because, well, whatever, you don't want to put $50 on a book, well, no problem, it's $5 at retail. You can just go to your LCS and get the book for 5. So yeah, so long story short, I would say it's for us, it was important to do an event and make it fit special. And obviously when Sean did come to us and say like, hey, I have this Zorro project, to us it was a no-brainer, and we were just like grateful that Sean was trusting us to be the partner on that thing. And we made it, and we were super happy and satisfied with it, with the result. And just we thank again all backers that did support this thing. It was nuts.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I was following it. It just ended like 2 days ago, right?
yeah, it was like
Like Day of
maybe
the Dead.
four or
So yeah,
five, and
November
yeah, I
2nd
don't
or something
know.
like that. Anyway, yeah. What other licenses do you have that you can say here that have already been announced? Like I know you've got Assassin's Creed, right? Or at least for the one
Yeah,
thing.
so Assassin's Creed, we released that in partnership with Lunax Studio in Montreal. They are like one of the, they've been 15 years that they work with Ubisoft on like all the transmedia stuff. So they make all the Rainbow Six comics in the games. They made like multiple Assassin's Creed comics in the past. And it's such like an organic relationship and like partnership for like the Assassin's Creed stuff to work with them, since they've been working on the franchise forever. So taking their books and creation and bringing it into the market, it's just like a really cool thing to do. And we have more in the pipeline right now that we're working on. Obviously, we launched it, like our first book was Alpha Betas, which was like a adaptation of an animated show. So we've been rocking with licenses, and obviously we distribute the single issues for Sumerian. So and now Sumerian is mostly just a licensed book publisher. So we did release American Psycho, for example. There will be like The Fog coming next month, and John Carpenter, and Basic Instinct that just like did FOC. So we got a couple in the pipeline right now coming up really soon, and it's pretty exciting. Licensed project are exciting because you revisit like franchise that you love. Obviously, it's more like a dude. It's crazy because like there's kind of a misconception of like creator owned and license in some way. You think in your mind that like licenses probably sell a shit ton more copies than a creator owned book, but it's not true. Yeah, I believe you have way more chance to actually make money with a creator owned than license. License is just like a safe bet in some ways. Just like, okay, a licensed project will probably always sell like 15, 20,000 copies. Obviously, like a good license. If you
Yeah,
take like
yeah.
like a random license and like connect with the comic book audience, obviously gonna flop harder than any like creator owned comics. But like a licensed project will typically like sell between like 15, 20K. And that's what you can hope for. But it will close to never like break that bar of like, it's always just a safe bet.
Yeah,
But a
it's
creator owned comics,
consistently at breaks the bar that you want to get to, but it's never a
Yeah,
breakout success.
yeah, or like if you were really smart and you took like a license that like a fan base was waiting for content, for years. They had nothing, and then this thing come out, and there's like a crazy excitement. For example, Dynamite with Gargoyles, that was super smart to do that. I think probably the license was freaking expensive,
Yeah.
but Disney stuff.
But I've thought
But
about like I guarantee like you guys did with American Psycho, there's movies that have cult
yeah,
followings from the
oh,
80s
American
that I
Psycho.
guarantee like yeah, I'd love to write, I don't know what is a good example, but like I don't know, Society or something like that. A
Mm,
strange, obscure movie from the 80s that's a
yeah,
horror film or something like that and release it as a comic form. Like I would buy that, I would think, and it's just like you said, like there's some of those filmmakers are still around but not active in the industry, and I guarantee they'd at least respond to our emails.
yeah. No, totally, dude. And yeah, American Psycho was a really big hit for us in Sumerian.
Oh, I'm sure
And
Americans. Yeah, it had to be. Everybody. Yeah,
yeah, no,
that
it
was
was
such a great get. Well done on that. And Michael, of course, I'll let him know. Well done on that as well.
yeah, no, no, he killed it. It was such a good first issue, and the second one is really good too.
Yeah, that's what's
Like
interesting also about you guys is your company. Everyone involved, other than maybe Jack, everyone's a creator. Michael
yeah,
Solero and you, and you're not just money guys. You guys are artists and
yeah, we
writers.
we are all creators. We are all creators. We're all making our own books. We and working on licenses sometimes. So we and that's the thing. I think that one of the reason of like the success of it too, is that we have this creator vision and we understand both sides. And that help a lot, like with marketing and all what to do with comics. And marketing comics, as you know, is maybe like 80% of like getting the right covers.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
know.
one of the
Yeah, it
only
really
industry that you
is.
will say.
The cover is
We
what
sell,
draws people in. That
yeah.
unfortunately for people who want to think otherwise, that the
Mm-hmm.
cover
Oh,
sells
we
the
sell trading
thousand.
cards, man. It's just
Yeah.
like comic book to an extent. It's kind of always sad to say it in some ways. But it's giant trading cards at this point. I don't the I will be afraid to know like the exact like percentage of people that actually read the books.
Yeah,
It would make
it's
me sad.
yeah. I think I
But
know. I've actually I'm working on a video that kind of narrows that down, like how much of this market is truly speculation and collectors and how many are really
yeah,
readers. And I can I've gotten from my own books, I can tell you like it's low. Like of the
yeah.
people that are truly like readers. And unfortunately, people will take anything they can get for free. If it's somewhere
Mm,
out there that's free, that's where everybody's going to be drawn to. You can get a lot of readers if you put it out there for free, or or if it's at the library or whatever. Um,
yep.
but anyway, we're like over an hour, I think, buddy.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Um, so to shill my own stuff. So Liquid Kill. We can at least narrow it down to the trade for Volume 1, which is the first 6 issues,
Oh
will
yeah.
be coming out at the start of next year at some point, like spring.
Yep.
Is that
Yep.
right?
Totally.
And then we will be announcing Volume 2 at the same time as those solicitations. So everybody be on the lookout for that. And what else do you want to announce for your own self? And like what you guys got like a tour? I remember at one point you should do it again. I remember you had like as if you were a band where you were going throughout the world to all the cons. I can't
Yeah.
remember if that was like you personally or if that was like whenever you were with Behemoth Sumerian or if that
I
was
think it was
massive. But you
Behemoth we
should
did
do it
that,
again. I
yeah.
want to know where you're going. You're going to Abu Dhabi. You went to Tokyo last year and like you're
No,
going to
we
all kinds of
were
places.
supposed. Dude, I wish we did. We were supposed, but like with the COVID things, I think it
Oh,
was
you
like
didn't
two
make
years
okay.
ago. It was like two
Yeah.
years ago, and like Japan was like really, really intense on the border side, like and good reason. They did not want like our dirty American germs to to come
Uh
to Japan. So yeah, the borders were closed. It was impossible to actually do it. But yeah, it's sure I want to do it at some point, and you should come with me.
oh yeah, I
Let's
plan
do
on
it,
it.
dude.
Yeah.
Especially with liquid kill, like I think that that's definitely like a market that we need to
Oh, for
tackle.
sure. We're doing it. If not next year, the year after,
Yeah,
for sure.
So yeah, yeah, we should do like a tool poster like that. Like, again, like that's a good idea for sure. No, yeah. So I guess on the personal side, I have my own series as a creator, Washing the Blood, releasing in January at the same time as Zorro. Same release date, so January 11th. So it's time to order it at your comic book shop. So right now you can order Washing the Blood, my own series, Zorro at comic book shop. We have another Assassin's Creed book in stores, and I would say obviously check out Liquid Kill. We have copies on massivepublishing.com, and obviously be in touch. The volume is coming up. The volume 2 gonna be in Soul Station really soon. So check this out. Go buy every freaking copies of Liquid Kill, all the covers. There is plenty of like crazy covers. Uh Dude, the cover personally, like, it's something like fans says a lot about Liquid Kill. They just like say it's one of the best like cover collection in comics period of like the recent year. Each time like I have like a diehard fan of Liquid Kill coming a convention or just like online talking about the series, what comes is obviously like the mood, the vibe of the series, but the cover is always like a point of conversation of just like all you guys did craft like such a perfect like line of covers for the series.
Yeah, as you know, we did like Crow especially is very particular about the artists that he wanted to work
Mm-hmm.
with for the covers, and that's another amazing thing is like those artists. If we reached out to them, and a lot of people say no, but a lot of them say yes, and it's
Yeah,
an honor to work with some of those people.
especially when there is money. Like when you give money, normally people answer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing is I guess the true secret sauce, like you said, the pill to everything to all behind this is you do have to have some money, like or at least like
Yeah,
or some business knowledge of knowing how to sort of uh not haggle, but know how to bargain rights
yeah,
versus money up
because
front versus at the end or payment plans or whatever it is you got to do to where you
because
can't just be like, if someone gives you a number, you don't just say yes or no. You can sort of work with that to your own
yeah,
equal needs.
and that like just to finish that on that note, I guess I think like one of the most important thing if you want to start in comics is be smart with your money and all you gonna actually like produce a project. Just don't like produce it and like I'm gonna figure it out like after the thing is done. I think that it's really important, like even before starting making your project, that you have like a game plan and a marketing plan for this thing, because like selling comics is sadly, and like any other thing, like even movies work like that. It's 95% marketing. And just like in marketing in comics, since a really visual medium or product, it's all about the look, vibe, what people like. Just if I see like your main cover A, um, this is like the main cover A of your number one is probably gonna be like 80% of why your series is a it or not. If it's flop, like that's the image that like all the website, all the people online gonna see first. And if they like the vibe, if they like your logo, your just like the character, the vibe, the energy, the artist that you did take for that, it's gonna be like 80% of your chance on your side now. And that there is nothing more important than actually just like being smart with your marketing plan and what you're gonna do. Like if you start working on a book, don't just like the first question that you need to ask yourself, even like if it sucks, because like we don't want to admit that most of the time when we create something, like what are you inspired by and what you're copying in some way for creating this thing. Like is your thing, John Wick meet Dragon Ball, for example. Ask yourself, no, ask yourself what is it, because that's all your marketing plan need to be based on those two things. Your meat. That's your meat. That's a lot of meat. That become the meat of your marketing plan. Because like if you know now, okay, it's John Wick, Dragon Ball. Now all I use those two tools. That is actually like when you do a Facebook ad, for example, and you enter shit, that Facebook gonna tell you, oh, you're gonna reach out 30,000 people with those key things. And that's all you build your book. It's the same way. Now you know your Dragon Ball and John Wick is your two thing. So before even like crafting the script and deciding who's the artist, you need to have like those property meet this property in your mind and build your IP branding around that, because those, like, if you're a fan of that and that, you're gonna like my thing. And so your thing need to be think that way, because if you're just like start creating the thing without thinking of like, hey, what did I copy, what did I got inspired by in the process, because that's the people that you're going to talk to, and you need to make it in mind with that, and build the artist that you're going to choose, the look of your logo, the cover selection, and all you presented, like your synopsis, the even the I would say the marketing rollout. Like for example, if like it's a movie property that you take, and you see that like the posters that they use for those movies, the way that creators talk in interviews, the actors, like the look of the actors of the movie, for example, are you going to lean into some similar like character design, like facial, than what they did for that movie? Like it's all those things, because people as a consumer, you always gonna go for what you're familiar with and comfortable with. So if it's like if you fucking love like the chicken of a restaurant, it's there is more chance that you go next week, you're gonna buy this chicken again, and not just like randomly say like, oh, I'm gonna try that place that has like a 1 star review and I've never been to, that there is like
Mm-hmm.
way more chance that you go back to your chicken place. And what you're doing when you're creating a new thing, you are adding a new thing to the menu of this chicken place. So if like Dragon Ball is a chicken place, for example, your property should be added to that menu. And now you know your the chicken place that the customer always go. Now you see a new promotion, a new flyer that just say, "Hey, we just added this thing to the menu. Try it." And you should look at it and be like, oh fuck, that's made out of chicken, that's a new sauce, different, oh, it's rice instead of french fries, but it's still the same chicken at the base. Let's try it. It's sure if you go like fucking ravioli, for example, at the chicken place, the fan base won't connect with your thing, obviously, because you did not listen to who you're trying to sell this product. So be sure that it's made out of chicken when you make your thing.
I'm gonna steal that, man. That's a good way of phrase. I've never heard that analogy before, but it's exactly what I preach. Is that, yeah? Basically, you need to associate yourself with something somebody already knows, and like you said, you're just putting some new thing on the menu at a restaurant they're already familiar with. Yeah, yeah. No wonder we work together, because we see
We
eye
like
to
it
eye on
chicken.
so many things. We work at the same restaurant. That's really all it is. We love
Yeah, totally,
chicken.
dude. And it's a
Um,
pleasure, and I can't wait to make more stuff with you guys. Just the process has always been great working with you. You're super creative and nice to work with. Smart guys. You obviously also Crow, super cool to work with, and just like in super creative. Like Liquid Kill is awesome, and I can't wait to release more Liquid Kill.
but heck yeah, yeah. So thanks a lot for that, and obviously everything else, and thanks for coming on the show. And I just remembered, yeah, if you guys are going to be at Chicago C2E2 next year, right?
I think so. I'm not sure. I'm not
That's like
sure.
that's the bigger. It's like one of the biggest Comic
Yeah,
Cons
yeah.
takes place in Chicago.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I've been
I
there
will
in the past.
join you at that one, because I'm in St. Louis, which is like 5 hours south.
Awesome. Yeah, I will let you know if we do it. We're still like right now making our big plan
Yeah,
for convention
doing
next year.
creating your tour list. But yeah,
Hell
if
yeah.
you guys go to that, or there's another big one in Chicago, I think anime, sh- something like that. But whichever one you go
Okay.
to in Chicago, I'll be there. And that's it, man. So take it easy, and I'll have to bring you back on again next year, probably like in the summer or something, whenever we got more things down the pipeline and you guys are whatever, you've made your first production deal with Warner Brothers or wherever we're at by that
I
point, because
love it.
you guys are moving
Let's
so
do it.
fast. It's crazy, man.
Send
Thanks a lot.
send a DM to Warner Brother for me.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I got connections. You know, they're not all they don't all respond to my text, but they'll at least respond to like LinkedIn kind of DMs and stuff like that. So
Totally.
I will catch you later, Kevin. Thanks a lot once again.
See you, brother.
See ya.